Thanks, Maddie. So we'll start by introducing ourselves and what areas we focus on in recruiting. My name is Tammy Davis, and I am a talent acquisition team lead on the recruiting team here at Dana-Farber. I focus on clinical trials positions, specifically for the clinical trials office, and also clinical research positions for our regional campuses. We used to call them our network or our network sites. Um, and I will hand it over to Chris.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Chris Pelletier. I am one of the recruiters here at Dana-Farber. I've been here for just over 4 years now. During my time here, I've recruited for a variety of different departments, but my landing zone now is with data science, business analytics, computational biology, software engineering, and a lot of the tech heavy roles. So thanks again, and I will hand it off to Joyce.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Joyce Ozer, one of the recruiters, and I've been here for just over 10 years, recruited for a number of different positions. And right now, my focus is on the research wet labs. I recruit for research technicians, scientists, lab managers, and related positions. And we'll be talking about that a little later in more detail. And I'll hand it to Paula.
Thanks, Joyce. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. I am Paula Conley. I'm one of the recruiters here at Dana-Farber. I've been here a little under 6 years, and I partner with Joyce on the research wet lab bench role. So all things scientists, research techs, lab managers in that wet lab space. And let's see Teresa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Teresa Brady. I'm also one of the recruiters here at Dana-Farber. I have been with Dana-Farber less than 2 years now, and I do recruit for the clinical research positions, which we'll cover here shortly, as well as the postdoctoral research fellowships as well. And I will hand it over to Jessica.
Thanks, Teresa. Hey, everyone. Excited to be here. Similar to Teresa, I cover all of the clinical research positions for adult medical oncology. So like clinical research coordinators, research data specialists, regulatory coordinators, some research project management positions as well. And I forgot to introduce what I am. I'm a recruiter on the research team, but I've been here a little bit under a year now, coming up on my year anniversary. So thanks for.
All right, thanks everyone. And now we'll get into telling you a little bit more about Dana-Farber, and then going to share some of the areas and positions that this team recruits for. And also, of course, as Maddie mentioned, we will be doing a Q&A at the end. Okay. All right, so Dana-Farber, a lot of folks in the New England area is very familiar with Dana-Farber, and Dana-Farber is well known around the world as well. It's currently the #4 hospital that treat cancer treating hospital, which is amazing, in the world, actually. The mission of Dana-Farber Cancer Institute is to provide expert, compassionate care to patients with cancer while advancing the understanding, the diagnosis, treatment, cure, and prevention of cancer and related diseases. The Institute is an affiliate of Harvard Medical School, and it is a comprehensive cancer center. So why join Dana-Farber? We have so many reasons for you to be a part of this amazing institution. With a career here, you will play a very important role in helping to fulfill our mission and ultimate goal, and that is to eradicate cancer and related diseases. And as I mentioned before, we are ranked #4 in the world, and we are ranked as one of the nation's best mid-size employers and offer exciting jobs and career to match your skills, interest, and passion. We have an amazing well-being program, and it's a collection of benefits and programs offered to faculty and staff, and it encompasses health, financial, community financial community, and the whole being. So here at Dana-Farber, we will believe that wellness should be a fully integrated part of who we are as an organization. So these are just some of the benefits, or benefits package, condensed into some areas. But as part of our commitment to our staff, we offer a competitive array of benefits and well-being programs. It reflects the quality care employees provides patients every day, and we offer a wide variety of choices and programs that support diverse range in family structure, life stages of our staff. So benefits are offered to regular staff working at least 20 hours per week, and our staff members are eligible for benefits on their first day of work. So aligned to our mission and core values, in our research and in the provision of care, we maintain a focus on communities who have been historically marginalized. And in everything we do, we strive to ensure all people can reach their full potential. We strive to ensure that no one is disadvantaged because of who they are. To that end, we are committed to significantly improve in the following 4 critical areas over the next 5 years to address systematic racism, discrimination, and inequities, oh my goodness, within our organization and beyond. So we are focusing on cancer disparities in research, access to care and equity outcomes, access to careers and advancement, and community investments. So Dana-Farber has 2 main campuses. One is located in Boston, Longwood Medical area, and provides care to adult and pediatric patients. And the other campus is located in Chestnut Hill and provides care for adult cancer patients. And we have subsidized transportation and some limited parking options. You can take the Green Line, and then we also have some shuttles that go into the Longwood Medical area, also to Chestnut Hill. You just need your Dana-Farber ID to get on the shuttles, and of course there are MBTA buses to get to these campuses as well. We also have regional campuses, and we used to call these or satellite locations. They're all over. We have one in Brighton, we have one in Milford, we have one in South Weymouth, we have one in Methuen, Londonderry, New Hampshire, Foxborough, and also Weymouth. So for today, these are the featured opportunities that we'll be going over. We will be talking about opportunities in research, informatics and analytics, computational biology, data sciences, clinical research, postdocs, research in the bench/wet lab, and scientist roles. And now I'll turn it over to Chris to talk about the data side of research.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tammy. And thank you all again for being here. So I'm going to start with a few of the departments that I support and do the bulk of my work in here at Dana-Farber. That would be the most applicable to what you all are here for. So the first department that I largely support here is our Clinical Operations and Business Analytics Department, which we internally refer to as COBA. So COBA is a branch of the Dana-Farber Informatics dedicated to promoting utilization of available data by removing barriers to data acquisition, analytics, and reporting, and by working closely with leaders from across the Institute. They're founded around centralized common analytic capacities, seeking to create a shared data warehouse for research, clinical, and operational enterprises with a core set of metrics and definitions, and around the stewardship model, empowering each area's analytic advocates to drive the analytic agenda and development at the Institute. So that's kind of like their main purpose and mission for the work that they're doing. In terms of the opportunities that we have, depending on your level of expertise, the entry-level position that we have available in this space typically is the Associate Business Intelligence Analyst role, which is part of a larger career ladder. So it goes from an associate level to a Business Intelligence Analyst level 1 to a senior to a principal, to a lead. So there's a well-defined path within this job family, within the COBA department for the business intelligence space. So we do require at minimum to get into that path, a bachelor's degree, and then also some familiarity on the technical side with SQL. So we need someone that does have SQL experience, and if you do have that, then that would qualify you along with your bachelor's degree to kind of start a career path in this space. In this particular department does work a hybrid schedule, so they're on site, between 1 and 3 days a week, depending on availability and what the need is. So that's one of the departments, and Tammy, you can go to my next slide here. So another area that I support is our Research Informatics and Operations Department, otherwise referred to as RIO. So RIO is a subdivision of the Dana-Farber Informatics and Analytics Department, led by the Chief Health Information Officer. Systems supported by RIO interface to site-specific and enterprise-wide systems. The office provides a collaborative response, integrated and focused approach to all aspects of systems development and support. They also support clinical trials, research informatics systems for the Dana-Farber HCC member institutions with regards to oncology research. So again, just kind of starting in the entry-level space here for the sake of this presentation. The associate business analyst is our entry-level point into research informatics and operations. So the associate level, it actually doesn't require a bachelor's degree. It just requires an associate degree. But if you do want to progress in the business analyst space, you would ultimately need a bachelor's degree. And then also, having some experience in a customer-facing role or in some other area of clinical research. So again, similar to the business intelligence space, in research informatics, there also is a well-defined career path, going from an associate business analyst to a business analyst to a senior business analyst, and then up into leadership roles and management opportunities that I do sometimes recruit for. And also want to make it clear that these jobs that I'm telling you about, the business intelligence career path and the business analyst career path, these are the majority of the roles that I recruit for in these departments, but we do have leadership opportunities as well. Like, for instance, in COBA, I am recruiting for a director level position right now. So we do have leadership opportunities that come open from time to time. But for the sake of this presentation, I really wanted to talk more so about the more common roles in the analytics space that I have available. So we can go to the next slide here, Tammy. So computational biology is another area that I support. And that's really for all the labs that are conducting research here at Dana-Farber. They oftentimes will hire 1 or 2 computational professionals. So the computational biologist responsible for complex data analysis or processing of biological data with a focus on high throughput technologies and genomic databases. The computational biologist may work on many types of projects and areas of research, including cancer genomics, functional genomics, immuno-oncology, molecular imaging, data management and integration, and querying biological databases. So similar to my other slides, the entry level point into computational biology is the associate level, which again, just requires a bachelor degree in a STEM field and no prior experience in terms of like on paper work experience. You could be a new graduate in the STEM field bachelor program, and as long as you have some sort of computational skills, as I listed below, of Unix or Linux, and familiarity with Python or R, that would qualify you to start a career in the computational biology space. This work, because it is lab focused, is largely 100. I have it listed as 100% on site. There have been some one-off circumstances where they might be more of a hybrid, but the vast majority of the computational roles are 100% on site working in the labs. And similar to the other roles as well, the computational biology space is a well-defined career path. So it goes all the way to a level 4 computational biologist. The associate level is just the entry point. So if you've done computational work before and you have years of experience, you may automatically qualify for a higher level. For the sake of this, I just wanted to highlight the entry point for this info session today. And then you can go forward.
Suggest.
Tammy, which I believe is my last slide, but I just want to make one quick point. So I do all of data science as well. So that I also do, if you are in this session and you do have experience as like a statistician or a bioinformatician or a data scientist, those are some other job titles that I do recruit for as well in the data science space. So just wanted to point that out as well. So that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Now on to clinical research with Jessica and
Thanks, Tammy.
Teresa.
So yes, excited to talk to you guys about just the clinical research opportunities, and similar to what Chris highlighted, just talking about some entry-level roles or entry points into clinical research that you can get into. So we'll highlight the 4 positions here: clinical research coordinators, research data specialists, regulatory coordinators, and research assistants. Before I move on though, just to give a quick synopsis of what clinical research is, it's really once patients are involved in the research process. So obviously for us at Dana-Farber, and conducting clinical trials once patients are involved in the research process. So anything around different disease centers that we support, just again, to conduct clinical trials around different therapies that we're looking into for cancer therapies, but also rare diseases. All right, I'll move on to the next slide. Awesome. So to kind of talk through clinical research coordinators, we have a variety of different clinical research coordinators that support all of our disease centers or disease therapeutic areas that we support. And again, this is really when clinical trials are being conducted within these disease groups. So CRCs support the research teams when it comes to all of the enrollment, recruitment processes, and even patient appointment coordination around once patients are involved in the clinical trials. These clinical research coordinators are collecting and managing a lot of the patient clinical data or managing their experience as they go through the clinical trials. So some of that could be sample collection or shipment of patient samples, maintaining regulatory binders or study compliance regarding different clinical trial operations. But again, you'll hear from a lot of disease groups that every day is very different for a clinical research coordinator, regardless of the department, just because they're handling a lot of the coordinating items when clinical trials are being conducted. Again, just to note, these qualifications for the roles, 0 to 1 years of related experience is preferred. It is an entry-level position, but bachelor's degree is required. And any prior experience when it comes to medical or scientific research setting experience that you have would be related to this type of position. And in terms of required skills, definitely looking at the soft skills of highly organized individuals, very attention to detail in your work. Communication style is very strong interpersonal skill sets, again, to develop relationships with patients or your other colleagues that you're working with. And then highly focused like time management and prioritization skill sets are really important for this role. And then any like Microsoft Office suite proficiency is also definitely something that would be important for these positions. I will say patient interaction is a little bit higher than the other roles for these roles, just because again, you're managing a lot of the patient experience when they're involved in the clinical trials. So it could be distributing protocol schedules, administering different surveys or questionnaires as they're going through the eligibility process for the trials, or conducting like any follow-up communication directly with the patient. So it is higher interaction with this role. And I will say for most positions, it is a fully on-site role. Again, either Longwood, Chestnut Hill, or our regional locations. For some of our pediatric positions, they could be more hybrid roles, so 2 to 3 days a week, remote or on-site. But again, it definitely varies depending on the department. And then moving on to research data specialists. So these folks, once the patients are enrolled in the clinical trials, these individuals are doing a lot of the data management, data collection, database organization, and just quality assurance around the patient data. So supporting all clinical trials, depending on the disease group around those areas. Similar to the CRC position, it is an entry-level role, so 0 to 1 years of related experience in a medical or scientific research setting. Is preferred, yet no experience is required. A bachelor's degree is required for these roles as well. And for required skills, I would say it's probably a little bit more computer heavy in this role, just because it's a lot of data entry, data management. So computer skills proficiency with Microsoft Office products is critical. Detail orientation again, and strong interpersonal skill sets and time management is also very important from a soft skill perspective. And then for patient interaction, it definitely varies depending on the department. I will say most frequently it's a little bit less than the clinical research coordinator role, but again, depending on the department, you may be assisting or responsible with some consenting with patients in clinic. So it's important to obviously check in with the departments as you're interviewing, just to ensure kind of you're an understanding of the patient interaction there. And then for some duties, depending on the department, and I work closely with the GI department, there's some translational research responsibilities for those types of roles. So again, important to read through the job descriptions that you're applying to. And then for these roles, similar, it may vary depending on the department. I will say traditionally most roles are fully remote, like 4 to 5 days a week remote with occasional time on site. But depending on the department, there could be more frequency to be on site. Okay, and lastly, and then I'll turn it over to Teresa. So regulatory coordinators, these folks are handling a lot of the compliance and regulatory items when it comes to conduction of our clinical trials. As you can imagine, there's a lot of regulatory documentation just to ensure we're recording everything and we're compliant, not only within Dana-Farber, but all the external sponsors or organizations we work with. So these folks handle a lot of the regulatory requirements, depending on the disease center. And these positions as well are also entry level. I think related experience or fundamental knowledge of clinical trials and how they're conducted is preferred, yet not required. But we do require a bachelor's degree as a minimum requirement for a position like this. And similarly to the research data specialist, I think computer skills, again, proficiency in Microsoft Office is important, and then highly detail oriented time management, prioritization skill sets is always critical, because there's, again, a lot of moving parts, a lot of areas that you need to focus around attention to detail with certain details and submissions. And then for these roles, it's actually no patient interaction at all, just fully focused on the regulatory requirements. And these roles are fully remote positions. And I'll turn it over to Teresa.
Thanks, Jess. So for the research assistant positions, these are very entry level. It does not require a bachelor's degree. Of course, it is preferred, but just a high school diploma or GED, no experience required at all. Excel is preferred because you will be working on a variety of tasks with the groups. So this one is a part-time. It could be a full-time depending on the department, but they do perform a variety of tasks to ensure that the goals are being met for the faculty members, research programs. There's one program that I could talk about that we had a research assistant. They were working closely with India. They were working with the teachers in India to help them to quit smoking, and the research assistant was highly involved with that. They met with a lot of the team members with our partnership in India. So they would have to work on weekends at times. Sometimes they'd have to come in earlier or later. So the schedule does vary. So we do ask for availability to work weekends and evenings. Some of their skills required for the research assistants are the organization, teamwork, definitely collaboration, customer service. Again, you will be dealing with multiple people with different projects. So just want to make sure that you have that experience. Definitely Microsoft Office Suite and strong interpersonal skills. You will be having some patient interaction depending on the studies. So there's definitely a high level of patient interaction, again, just depending on the department. The work location, it is generally on site because you will be dealing a lot with different projects. There's times where you may have to have the IRB or the protocol portfolio. You'll have to have their binders completed. So definitely being on site is important. There are times where it may be remote, but definitely more often than not, it's on site. With any of these roles that Justin and I talked about, there's definitely growth opportunities. And it's just really, Dana-Farber really focuses on the ability to grow your career and gain exposure across various areas of clinical research. Obviously, with many of these positions, you do have to have your bachelor's degree, so just want to make sure you note that. So within the latter growth, we have CRCs, RDS, reg coordinator positions, 1, 2, and a senior level. The research assistant, there's a level 1 and a level 2. And then from there, you're able to grow into an assistant clinical research manager, project managers, research clinical research managers, trial monitors, as well as trial consent writers. So now I'm going to talk about the postdoc research fellows. So just to let you know, for the postdoc research fellows, you do work you work collaborative with the PIs, and includes the lab PIs, the clinical investigators, and others at Dana-Farber. We do seek enthusiastic and dedicated and hardworking postdoc scientists to join our teams. So if you have already finished your PhD, your MD, or if you're almost getting ready to complete that, we are willing to wait for you as long as you're the right candidate for our teams. We do look for people that have the biology, the immunology, cancer biology, or even something equivalent to that. We do offer visa support, visa sponsorship support for the postdoc positions. Some of the required skills that we have, obviously a strong work ethic, having that positive attitude, team-centered mentality, most importantly, a passion for investigating novel areas. You'll be an integral part of the teams and the research that they're conducting. We do ask for experience managing and creating large data sets and some positions do require the machine learning techniques also. Having that interpersonal skills and excellent verbal and written communication skills is very important as well. There may be times, depending on the department and the research, you may have to perform laboratory experiments, as well as conducting data analysis. You may also have to design your own experiments and execute the protocols for those experiments and the research projects. You'll also have to maintain accurate records, writing reports, preparing presentations. You will also be involved with publishing your own research as well as being part of the research publications for your teams. As well as just contributing to the overall organization and safety of the laboratory. That's very important as well. Because this is more of a research learning position where you're actually learning alongside with the PI, we do ask that this is fully on site. So there's really no remote opportunities, unfortunately, for our postdoc positions. With that being said, I will then hand it over to Joyce and Paula.
Thanks, Teresa. I'll take it from here. So switching gears a little bit, Joyce and I are the recruiters for the lab bench research jobs at Dana-Farber. And with a research career, you play a very integral role in helping to fulfill the mission of the ultimate goal, the eradication of cancer and related diseases. And it's specifically doing the research in the wet labs here at the Institute. Next slide. So what distinguishes Dana-Farber research? So at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, we do translational, basic, clinical, and population sciences research, and they are never really far apart, physically or philosophically. So they all work, synergistically to get to the end result, right? Researchers in laboratories make discoveries that are used in treating cancer patients in the patient clinic. So that whole bench to bedside modality here. We hire research technicians for labs, departments, centers, and core facilities. And Joyce and I recruit for all of those areas. Next slide. So the research technician position in particular, they assist the scientists in performing the scientific research, the development, and/or the clinical tasks. They assist with the setup, the operation, and the maintenance of the laboratory and the instruments and equipment. They monitor the experiments, making observations, and then calculating, and then doing all the very important recording of results. They conduct the standardized biological, microbiological, and biochemical tests, laboratory analysis, including collection of samples from organic substances, blood, such as blood, drugs, and from animals. We have a lot of mice lab, so in vivo work is research technicians. One of the areas that you could actually choose to work in. And then we analyze the experimental data and interpret the results to write those reports and summaries of findings. So it's really it plays a very important role in the actual research being done in all the labs here, the wet labs here at the Institute. And I think the next slide. So the research technician career ladder. So most, if not all, research technicians come in as a new grad, right out of their bachelor's. A bachelor's is required. And I would say most research technicians will leave us in a couple of years' time with the intent to go on to med or grad school. So this opportunity is really a great segue into that career trajectory. And the labs and the PIs actually prefer folks that do have that career trajectory. So a bachelor's is required, but we do have career technicians here as well. So if that is something that you're interested in, you can really move up the career ladder. We do hire senior research technicians externally. So we have the research tech, the senior, and then the lead and the principal. And that's sort of the career ladder. And oftentimes, you know, we will have a lead research technician, you know, working on their PhD, and they'll end up matriculating into a scientist one role here. So there are many opportunities for upward mobility from these roles alone. And I think the next one might be Joyce's.
Thank
And
you,
it is.
Paula.
You're very welcome.
Yes. So on to the scientists. We recruit for a lot of scientist positions here at Dana-Farber. And the scientists work with the principal investigators, also known as PIs, to conduct and oversee research projects, generally in the lab. Responsibilities are specific for each lab. You know, I should say there's some scientists that also work with data, so data scientists to support the research lab, and then sometimes population science as well. But most of them are more wet lab oriented. And the PhD is preferred in a relevant field: biology, immunology, cancer biology, or equivalent, computational scientists as well. An advanced degree with extensive experience may be considered as well. And required skills: strong work ethic, positive attitude, team-centered mentality, and most importantly, a passion for investigating novel areas. Outstanding interpersonal skills and excellent verbal and written communication skills. Scientists are not isolated. They work with many others in their lab and other labs, and also do presentations internally and externally. Outstanding, you know, the interpersonal skills, of course, performing laboratory experiments and conducting data analysis, designing experiments and executing protocols, maintaining accurate records, writing reports, and preparing presentations. They often will get involved in writing grants as well. Contributing to the overall organization and safety of the lab. And they could also certainly train others, particularly the research techs, and sometimes supervise the research techs. And we do have the career ladder, starting with scientists and going all the way up to principal, then institute scientists, and they are fully on-site positions. Next slide. So now, with all this information, how to apply? And I just want to say, and it's probably been said before, we're focusing on the research opportunities at Dana-Farber. That's our group. Obviously, Dana-Farber is a very large institute, and there are, you know, other opportunities as well, which, you know, eventually we'll work with ABN on. But here we're really presenting with a focus. Oh,
Yeah.
Abby, can you mute? Oh, thank you, Abby. So that's the focus today. In terms of how to apply, we want you to first connect with your ABN advisor to discuss your interests. This is a collaborative relationship. We want to work very closely with ABN to help candidates apply. Your ABN advisor will provide a specialized link to our career page, and it's important for you to use that link for us to know who you are, that you're connected with ABN, and for us to track you. When you search by position title or keywords. You want to carefully review job descriptions and required qualifications, and then submit your application to positions that match your interest and qualifications. Be sure to set up job alerts by joining our talent network. Resumes are then reviewed by the HR recruiters and forwarded to the hiring managers. The labs in most departments will, you know, often reach out directly to candidates of interest for initial interviews. There are typically 2 to 3 rounds of interviews and a reference check prior to an offer. HR recruiters also conduct interviews at various stages of the process, and all the offers would come from the HR recruiter.
All right, so I'll hand it over to Maddie if she has any questions for us, and others feel free to unmute and ask questions.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for doing that presentation. That was great. It was extremely informative. So yeah, like they said, we're gonna open it up for a Q&A now. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute and ask, or if you don't want to speak, you can always put your question in the chat as well, and we can answer it from there. Yeah, I'll just open it up to you guys now.
Your bachelor's degree is acceptable as long as we can verify that you have the bachelor's degree. Well, it depends on the area and positions that you're applying to. There are some positions in the bench/wet lab area and also the data sciences area that Chris supports that will consider visa sponsorship. But in clinical research, we don't typically sponsor visas. And as long as you have a work authorization, you could be a permanent resident. I'm not an expert on immigration, so, but you don't have to be a citizen. You can have other authorizations, work authorizations.
Yeah, so the master's degree certainly it's for the business analyst roles that I mentioned earlier with research informatics. It's not a requirement, but it's certainly something that we would be able to verify and qualify you for a role. Now, in terms of the entry level role, we do have one that is posted right now. I'd have to take a deeper look at your resume to see if any of your work that you have done would be considered applicable. Most of the time for analytic roles, they want someone that has experience doing actual analytical work. So if you've done any work that has incorporated analytical skills, then that could potentially qualify you for a higher. So there's a lot of variables at play here.
Yes, we do. Research technician roles, OPT and STEM OPT, if they're going to be staying with us for the 2 or 3 years until they move on, that completely covers them. As long as they have their EAD card in hand, absolutely. Other roles, well, scientists, yes, obviously. But other roles I can't speak to. Tammy, which roles are yes and which roles are nay?
Clinical research is nay. But as I mentioned before, as Paula mentioned, research technicians, so most of the bench lab, wet lab world, and some of Chris's areas in data sciences, analytics, informatics, comp bio, those areas. But clinical research, it's no right now. If anything changes, I'll definitely reach out.
Okay, Fatma, I can actually answer for the postdoc position. Unfortunately, you do need to have your PhD or your medical degree. We also consider the MBBS if you have that as well as a postdoc role. So unfortunately, a master's degree may not qualify. However, you may qualify for other positions. You mentioned clinical research coordinator. You could definitely qualify for that. And as well as some other roles, but unfortunately for PhD, if it's not an MBBS, a PhD or MD, unfortunately, it may not qualify.
I'll send a link out after this session. It'll be a link for our career advising program, so you can sign up through there and you'll hear back from me quite quickly. I monitor that whole thing. So once we have an intake call, get you into our system, from there we can start the process of looking at these jobs that they're talking about right now and seeing what would be a good fit for you. So just the only requirement will be signing up for that program on our end, but I will send out the link.
I can start to answer that. So often postdocs do go on to research scientist positions. Sometimes someone starts as a postdoc and then goes on to a scientist position at Dana-Farber, or we hire a lot of external postdocs into scientist positions. At Dana-Farber, another track is on the postdoc, they go to an instructor level, and then sometimes they go to a faculty member. Obviously not everyone goes to a faculty member, and they only, have so many slots, and it incorporates a Harvard appointment. So there's kind of two tracks for postdocs. Occasionally someone might go to a lab manager as well, or some kind of research science manager. But certainly the scientist is an option. And as I said, institutions often, I think, in addition to Dana-Farber, have that other track where they might go to more of an instructor or a faculty member.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of what Joyce just mentioned as well, yes, definitely the track would be going more into like an instructional position or facilitator position. But there are some roles in some departments that will allow someone who has already like 4 or 5 years of experience as a research fellow to come back into a postdoc research fellow. Some of them may want that extra experience. So definitely that's something that we could consider too, just depending on what department is. So each department is different, each PI is different, and some want more of the junior level, entry level position, some want more of the experience. So it just really all depends.
I can certainly start. So obviously most of the positions we're talking about do require a degree. So certainly if someone has a bachelor's degree and went through that program, that would be great. Non-degree positions, we occasionally have like an in vivo research position, a lab assistant position, even a clinical lab assistant. Those positions don't require a bachelor's degree, and we would really welcome, through a biotech program as well. Susan, I know, you and I've worked together, and happy to chat with you afterwards. So these particular positions do require a degree, I think, except maybe an associate degree in one of Chris's analytical roles. But we do have other positions at the Institute that do not.
That really don't apply to our areas because we never really asked for language, but I'm sure you see it in other areas, like for social work, um, and 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 you can clarify where you saw that, but I I couldn't I don't know if you speak a language that's similar. That's something that we would have to reach out to the team, the recruiter that recruit for those positions, and what the hiring team would consider. But can that person you know let us know which position you're talking about?
They say they saw one today in clinical research.
Hmm. Oh, is it asking for Spanish? Because we've had a clinical research and population sciences that may ask for that sometimes.
Yes, they say that it was that one.
Okay. That's a conversation to have. But we have it depends on the population that they're seeing, and they feel like they need a clinical research coordinator that speaks Spanish. But I'm not going to say no. It varies, and ultimately we're looking to find the right person for the position, for the team as soon as possible. But it could take a month. It could take a little bit longer because we want to make sure that we're finding the right person for the position. If you interview and the team is moving pretty quickly, things can move pretty fast. But so I would say give it, if you interview, give it about a month. And I'm just throwing that out there loosely because it could be quicker, depending on the pool and how many people are interviewing.
Okay. Well, if no one has any more questions, we can start to wrap it up here. Again, if you guys think of anything afterwards, feel free to reach out to me, and I can connect you with the individuals from Dana-Farber, and they can answer those questions. But I want to thank everyone for being here today and taking the time out of the day to sit in on this presentation. I want to thank the team at Dana-Farber for being here today and providing this information. So thank you all very much. Like I said earlier, I'm recording this, so I will send out the recording of the session. I will send out all the presentations, the links to see their open positions, all that, the career advising form, anything that you might need to start this process. So again, that will be out very soon, either at the end of the day or very early on Monday. Yeah, thank you all very, very much. Reach out with any questions.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you all.